couple of weeks ago, I did an episode of my podcast where I talked about South Park being the dumbest, smartest thing you could watch on TV. I was talking about how South Park uses satire and sarcasm to talk about things that are happening in the world today. They write episodes really quick. They get local and international events on there right after it happens, it seems like. They're very fast. They're good at what they do. The episode I brought up, one of the episodes I brought up was about where Cartman became a conservative talker, pundit, whatever you want to call it, and he was mimicking Charlie Kirk. Yesterday, September 10th, 2025, Charlie Kirk was assassinated at one of these college events that Cartman was portraying in South Park. And South Park has now, Comedy Central has pulled the episode from reruns for a while due to Charlie Kirk being assassinated at one of these events. And it really hit differently with me because, not because, I love everything Charlie Kirk stood for. It's because of what he does or what he did. Charlie Kirk was a big fan of free speech. You say whatever you want. I'll say what I want. We'll see if we can figure out things that we agree on, things we disagree on, and we move on, and maybe we get to appreciate one another. Violence was not his motive or his mode of teaching. He liked to talk. He wasn't college educated. He actually dropped out of college. He talked about that a lot. One of his big things is college is a scam for a lot of people because you can get a job making just as much money for a lot of jobs without a degree. The degree just gives you debt. And he was a big proponent of why go into debt if you can get a job without debt and make just as much money. And that was his big proponent. He also was a big advocate for colorblindness. He didn't care what color you were. What he cared about is what are your merits and are you getting a job because of what you do, how you do it, how well you do something, not the color of your skin or where your ancestors came from. He didn't care about that. A lot of people took that the wrong way. A lot of people took that as he was a white supremacist type. I think it was more of he was trying to get people excited either for or against him to really educate themselves on the system in which we live in. And the reason why I watched a lot of his videos wasn't because of everything he said. It was because I remember throughout history, learning about history, teaching history about our founding fathers and about our system as a whole, all the way through today. And our system has always worked because we've been allowed to speak what we feel, how we feel. Things have been changed in this world because of our voices. Founding fathers, George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, Alexander Hamilton, they wanted more power in the government that they were attached to in Britain. It's not that they wanted a revolution right away. They wanted more representation. They were tired of not having a voice. So push came to shove, war happened, America, 249 years ago. In America, we failed multiple times. We kept chugging along. War of 1812, Britain came back, we tried again. Then America kind of had the status quo for a while, country was growing, people were moving out west. Then we had issues with the natives. We decided that we were going to move the natives to wherever we wanted. And then the act of slavery started getting less and less appealing. And I say appealing because the South wanted it and the North liked indentured servitude, but didn't like the word slavery. They also didn't like thinking of an African-American, Black person, Chinese person, Japanese, Asian person, Native person as being on equal footing as they were in the North. Now, they didn't beat them as much. They didn't do this they didn't pay for them. It was a little different, but it was still rough. Then 1860 happened, Lincoln gets elected, and the South secedes, and we have a civil war. after the Civil War, slavery gets abolished-ish. The rights aren't really there yet, but the act of slavery is now taboo, no longer a thing, the word slavery. Then the 1900s turn around, we go to war. Go to war with other people, not for ourselves, but for others. Women get the right to vote finally. Okay, they still need their husband. They still need lots of things. There's still bank accounts. To get a bank account as a woman, you needed a man to sign off on it. It was still a lot of stupid. 1940s, World War II. Black men, women, Native Americans, they all fought for this country. And you would think, hey, you fought in a war. You saved us from fascism, Nazism, imperialism. Still not equal rights. 1960s come. There's rioting, there's fighting, there's distress. JFK becomes a president. He talks about doing certain things. Now, he's not a great man, not perfect, but he talks about doing things. He talks about certain ideals. And he gets murdered. We don't know, most people believe it wasn't by Lee Harvey Oswald. I don't know who did it. Not my job to figure that out. But what did happen was he died. Lyndon Johnson became president. Lyndon Johnson had to deal with the Martin Luther King and the Malcolm X's of the world. He had to deal with the civil rights movement. And Civil Rights Act was passed and he signed it. And that basically said, hey, we're going to be judged by the content of our character and not the color of our skin. At least that was the plan. Vietnam was happening. A lot of anger, a lot of distrust, a lot of racism still. I'd say more in the South than the North, but it was still there in the North. We can't sugarcoat it. Westward expansion, we moved definitely all the way into California, into Hawaii, Alaska, because we had bought in Alaska and kind of took over Hawaii. But the Americas were what we are today for power. 60s, 70s. After the 60s, there was a lot of violence in the 60s, civil rights violence, just violence in general. 70s, it kind of calmed down. I don't know, Nixon left and we got out of Vietnam and the country calmed. And it calmed and it calmed. And there was political frustration in the 80s and 90s. Tip O'Neill, George Mitchell, both Democrats, didn't exactly love what Ronald Reagan was doing or George Bush Sr. was doing, but they worked with him. They didn't hate each other. There wasn't the idea of let's, take them out or destroy them. It was, let's vote them out of office. We don't believe the same way they do, but let's vote them out. They're done. We don't like them. Bill Clinton came, kind of the same thing. 9/11 happens, which is the anniversary today. Today is September 11th, 2025. 24 years ago, this happened. And our country was together for like a whole couple days. We seemed like we actually, tolerated each other for like a whole week. And we grew. But by 2004, anger was back. And anger grew and grew when social media became more and more of a thing. It grew because people were allowed to say what they wanted wherever they wanted, and they could say things, and as long as it wasn't portrayed a certain way, they were okay. We had shootings, we had mass shootings, we had school shootings, we had violence, we had threats, we had poisonings, we had anthrax, we had everything you could think of was happening during this time. But we always seemed like we were in control. These events were minor blips in our democracy. And honestly, what happened, I believe, and I'm not blaming one person or the other, but in 2016, Donald Trump ran for president against Hillary Clinton. Everyone thought Hillary was going to win. Everyone. They were just, they did a Saturday Night Live sketch about how much they thought she was going to win. And Trump won. Now, Trump being Trump, he kind of spoke his mind and said what he felt, and he didn't sugarcoat things, which gets him in trouble, which gets a lot of us in trouble. He said how he felt. He was a womanizer. He was married multiple times. He wasn't the best person, but everyone thought, oh, he's good at money. He's good at business. So let's try something different. We need an outsider because the Bushes, the Clintons, Obama, from the 80s till 2016, it was the same people. And then 2016 to 2020, the economy grew. People felt more empowered. Violence was still happening. 2020, pandemic. You have people who believe the pandemic was set up as, it was built in the lab, exposed to people to bring in a new world order. Trump loses to Joe Biden in the election. Trump doesn't like it. January 6th happens. Big rally happens. A small percentage of those people decided to break the law and break into DC the wrong way. They didn't go through the front doors. They went through windows. They broke things. They destroyed property. They destroyed American property. And like it or not, a lot of them were wrong. You don't have to agree with me, but it's the truth. And people got hurt. People died. And so that was a big stain on America. Joe Biden comes into presidency and America becomes even more divided. The economy comes back from COVID. We have immigrants coming in, illegal and legal, all over the place. And people are starting to see this as a negative because our new system shows the negative attributes of these immigrants. They don't show the 90% that are doing good. They're showing the 10% who are doing bad. And that is a big, big violent outtake. If we start showing everybody as bad, people automatically assume everyone is bad because we get our media from our phones and from the news online. We have, NBC, ABC, CBS, and Fox. And they each have their own political wavering, which side they're on. And a lot of it's due to commercials and who's paying for it and their ideology, and I'm not going to get into that. But the world becomes more divided. And then in 2024, Joe Biden's running for re-election, and people can see that he's struggling. So Joe Biden drops out magically, and Kamala Harris, his vice president, is now given the nomination. No primaries, nothing, just given the nomination. And she runs against Trump. And her big thing is, we got to be nice to each other. Trump is a Nazi. Trump is a fascist. He's going to bring us to war. He's going to kill our economy. He hates everybody. And Trump's like, I don't hate anybody. I just don't like what they're doing to our country. We need to fix these problems. Trump is a very polarizing person. I'm not positive or negative on Trump either. I'm just telling you what it is. Trump has issues with his mouth. And sometimes the thing he should do is shut up, and he doesn't. Just live off of what you're doing, not what you're saying. It's a better idea. Fast forward to the last 6 months. Let's go 9 months since he was inaugurated. We've had mass shooting after mass shooting. We've had school shootings against right-wing, left-wing kids, and everybody in between. There's been violence everywhere, not just here, around the world. And some are blaming Trump. Some are blaming people like Trump. Some are blaming the immigrants. Some are blaming South Park. Some are blaming news in general. Some are blaming Satan. And it's exhausting to be a human right now. It's exhausting because we don't know what's going to happen today, tomorrow, the next day. We're holding on and praying that we figure this out. Our country was divided for so long on everything. We started by, I don't want to be a country. I just want to be British. And then I love our country, but I don't think we should go out west. Or I don't like the native people. They're savages. We should kill them all. To blacks shouldn't have the rights, any rights. They're not smart enough. They're not intelligent enough. we went through all of that. Women aren't smart enough to vote. Blacks aren't smart enough to vote. You have to be a landowner to vote. Everyone should have a gun. No one should have a gun. Higher education should only be for people who can do something with it. Everyone needs higher education. The government should pay for our higher education. The government shouldn't have to pay for anything. My healthcare costs too much. The government should pay for it. No, the government shouldn't. I don't want my taxpayer dollars going to you. I should be able to spend my money on what I want to spend my money on and not spend it on you. Every day, there's news articles. Every day, there's things where we just think to ourselves, what happened? Yesterday, Charlie Kirk was shot in Utah in front of like 3,000 college kids, okay? And younger kids, his own kids, his wife, people in attendance, killed. Why? Because he spoke how he felt and he let people talk to him, even if they said, I hate you. He sat there and he took it. Was some of his ideals not perfect? Yes, no one is perfect. But his premise was people need to talk or we're going into anarchy and the world isn't going to be a place we want to live. There was a school shooting yesterday. No one talks about it because Charlie Kirk, right? Gunman died, 2 kids, other kids in the hospital. United Kingdom, England, they're having issues with freedom of speech. They're having issues with social media speech and posts. And everyone's up in arms about which flag to fly and what is freedom and what isn't freedom. Kamala Harris comes out of the book and basically puts down Joe Biden. And no one likes it because it seems petty. Russia put a drone into Poland. Supposedly they were going after Ukraine, but it flew off course, went to Poland. Poland shot down the drones. Okay. South Korea said the raid on the Hyundai plant was not right, and basically the Koreans who didn't have visas should have had visas. And anyway, there's a whole mess with that. Israel attacked Hamas, not in Gaza, but in Qatar, or Qatar, depending on which way you say it. And that's a country that's also allies with us, so it didn't come across okay. A couple weeks ago, a man stabbed a Ukrainian refugee on a train, right in front of everybody, and no one did a lot about it. Nepal is in civil unrest. They're burning the parliament down. Why? Speech, gun ownership, government not doing the right thing, just stupid stuff. It's just all over the world, and I think we've lost our ways as humans. Now, I believe that we are created in God's image. Okay, you don't have to believe that. I believe it. Okay. I also believe that we suck at being in God's image. We sin, we don't do the right things, we screw up, and we're not good at any of this. And we're not good at it because we try to do everything. A lot of people try to do things that make them feel good, make them feel justified, make them feel right on the inside, instead of what is right. And what is right is to take care of one another, joke around maybe, but don't lose the compassion we have for one another. Free speech is the one thing that we have that shouldn't be tweaked, okay? You should be able to say what you want. I should be able to say what I want. Now, saying, fire in a loaded room or saying I'm going to kill everybody, those come with consequences. But saying, hey, I think this, or I like this, or I agree with this person, shouldn't get you shot, shouldn't get you canceled, shouldn't get you doxxed, shouldn't get you anything. It should just be, I should be able to tell you how I believe about something, what I believe. Do I believe in this? Do I believe in that? Do I understand this? Do I understand that? And you should be able to tell me what you believe, and then together we might learn from one another, and I might change your mind, you might change my mind, or we might not change each other's mind, but we can agree that our opinions are ours and we move on. But we don't do that. We're not going to do that anytime soon. We're not. I think we've lost that compassion. And after Martin Luther King was assassinated, in the country rioted. I think it was 40 people died, riots in like 300 cities. It was just crazy. And it was crazy because it didn't need to happen. It happened because Martin Luther King, not a perfect man, just like Charlie Kirk, not a perfect man. He said, hey, I want my kids, my grandkids, my great-grandkids to be judged by who they are, not what they are. I want them to be judged by what they do, how they do it, and why they do it, not their heritage, their color, what state they come from. And while that was a great idea, and I agree with it, it's become jaded and twisted. Today we have a lot of people on both sides who say things like, we need reparations. Okay, I don't know how to get that done. If you can explain how it's going to work, great. My family came here after the slaves. So do I pay reparations? I don't know. And that's the thing. I would love to listen to what people believe, but you need to help me understand it. I might not be smart enough to understand what you're saying. And I want to go to a teaching job or to any job or any place and them go, okay, well, you've got this, you've done this, you've experienced this, you're a good fit. Not, oh, well, we get a perk because you're a disabled veteran, or we get a perk because this person's homeless, or this person is this color, or this person is that color, or this person identifies as this. Hire the person, give that person a chance because they've earned it. Or give the person a chance because you feel like they've never been given a chance. Give them an opportunity because, they're someone who needs an opportunity. You see them, you talk to them, maybe they're not the best, but they can be. They can be. When you give people chances, they sometimes surprise you. And I think that's what America is all about. That's what our country and other countries should be about. Giving people chances to be the best person they can be. Giving people chances who don't always get chances. Giving people chances who maybe the system has beaten down, worn out, destroyed. Pick them up, help them grow and be better. Because that's really what this is about. We need to stop beating each other up physically, mentally, spiritually. We need to stop yelling at each other and threatening each other, threatening to kill you, to cancel you, to destroy your life. There are people in this world who just had a bad day and did something stupid. There's a woman who stole a baseball, kind of. And everyone destroyed her. Did she do the right thing? No. Was she a nice person? No. Do you think she's like that every day? Probably not. Did Charlie Kirk deserve to die for saying that he believes that gang violence is bad? Does he deserve to die believing that the life of an unborn child is important? Does he deserve to die for saying that people should be judged by what they are, like what they do, who they are, not by the color of their skin or by what gender they are, just by what they are? Did he deserve to die for saying that marriage is a sanctity, given by God, it's a gift? Or that children should have the right to grow up in a world where they feel safe and protected? Did he deserve to die for that? I hope not. He did. Could he, the person who killed him, could he have been somebody radicalized by another country? Yep. Could he have been a radicalized student? Yep. Could he have been just somebody who was mentally ill and believed voices were telling him to kill Charlie Kirk? Absolutely. And we might never know. This guy probably will not be arrested. Let's be honest. They normally aren't. Maybe he's got a manifesto written, or maybe he's got something written that we can dive in deep, like the guy in, Minnesota, which wasn't that long ago, but it feels like it was forever. And I think that's the point, guys. We've gotten completely used to this. Charlie Kirk's thing will go away in 2 days. Something else will take over the news. The school shooting at a Catholic school, no one really talks about. School shooting in Colorado yesterday, no one's going to talk about. What's going on in Nepal or the United Kingdom or in France, where they're having, they're burning things and, protesting the government and freedoms. 2 days will be over. People will care about something else. Well, I don't always agree with South Park. I don't always agree with the left side of the aisle. I'll say that. I also don't always agree with the right side. But here's what I hope most of us can understand. Shooting somebody, killing someone, or trying to destroy someone's life physically, mentally, in the community, online, doing that to destroy someone, that's not what we're made for. Jesus said, help the orphans, the widows, take care of the children. The children will inherit the kingdom of God. All right, okay, so Moses, he also talked about it. Abraham talked about we're supposed to take care of people. We're supposed to love one another. Someone's in sin, you talk to them about their sin. They go and ask for forgiveness. They work through things. They work through their sin. They fix their problem. In the Jewish times, they made sacrifices. Muhammad, the Quran, not perfect either. I'll say the Bible's not perfect. The Quran's not perfect. The Jewish Bible isn't perfect. New Testament, Christian Bible, not perfect. Quran's not perfect. Again, the Quran, one of the 5 pillars is help. Help people. Helping people isn't killing them. If you see somebody that doesn't believe the same way you do, talk to them. If they don't want to talk to you, move on. If they do want to talk to you, talk to them. Don't rub it in their face. Don't attack them. Just tell them how you feel and let them tell you how they feel. You tell them how you feel. It's called conversation. And conversation is what helps this world grow, helps our minds develop. It helps change our ideals, helps change our mentality, helps change who we are. And I think we need that more and more every day. So Charlie Kirk died yesterday. And he died because he opened his mouth and talked about how he felt. He died for the ideal of free speech. Free speech isn't free. Me and people I know have fought in other countries. We were told we were protecting the American values of free speech, freedom of religion, freedom to own weapons, freedom to vote, freedom to not be judged by your gender, by your color, freedom to drink alcohol, freedom. We have freedoms. Some of them don't make sense. Some of them do. Like, the government can't just come and take your house and put soldiers in it. Probably not going to happen in today's world. But there's a right on there. You have the right to the government not coming in and searching all your crap without a judge order, or, if they see someone dying in the back, that's different. But normally they need a search warrant. You can't be arrested unless there's a reason in our country. You can't just be put in jail without seeing a judge and being given the chance to talk to a jury of your peers. Those are the freedoms that me and others fought for. Others fought harder than I did. Revolution, War of 1812, Civil War, Spanish-American War, World War I, World War II, Korea, Vietnam, Grenada, Kuwait, Afghanistan, Iraq, Kuwait again, and others in between. Africa, Libya, which is part of Africa, Cuba, kind of, South America. We have fought all over the world, Japan, Germany. Why? Because we feel like our ideas and our ideal life is something that needs to be protected. But with our phones, with our computers, with social media, with videos, with YouTube, with TikTok, anger is spreading, anger is rising, and we need to be able to control ourselves and understand that it's okay if I don't agree with that person. I don't have to watch it. And if I do watch it, maybe I can learn something, learn why they think the way they do. Learn what they're doing, why they're doing it. Because that's the point, guys. We need to learn from one another, care about one another, and maybe this world will be a better place, but I'm not holding out a lot of hope. Thank you for watching.